and specify.
Specify.
Yes. Then ask the person who harassed to say sorry to the police.
Okay.
And in the last, if not, if the issue is not resolved, I want the colleague that harassed not to do such a behavior in future.
Okay.
Right.
Alright, we'll move on to the next question. As I said, there are many responses and many answers and many questions to be addressed. Yeah, change the partners. Change the partners, please. Partner बदल लीजिए. नहीं, change your partner. Change कर दीजिए.
Every time they know.
No. You find a new partner whom you have not talked to, no? There are so many combinations possible. Change your partner. Partner को change कीजिए. Why you do it or not, I see the practice. Yes. Think about it.
Get somebody else.
Let me get the mic. When is that? So one by one. Everybody has finished their brief conversations?
Yes.
Okay. Let's listen into a few views. We'll start with this.
Yes, when I see that my interest has safeguarded and the system is completely transparent, and no, when I see that my interest, is not safeguarded, or the system is not transparent, then I will not know the risk. Otherwise, yes. Because when I am again in different capacity as a professor, as a teacher, I have the risk I can know the risk. But if I am chairman, vice chancellor or director, then I have to analyze the situation. If the system is all good, transparent, then definitely yes. Otherwise, no.
Basically, you have to trust the system.
Yeah, trust the system, yes.
Anybody who has not spoken so far?
Yes.
Since
Yeah.
morning. Everybody has spoken.
Our team is speaking.
What?
The team is speaking. He will
I think everybody has given one or other response. I think, sir, 1 minute, please.
So I want to say yes. It's a SRO question, so answer is yes.
Whatever the situation is there, we should be ready to give issues.
Okay, you are saying under whatever circumstances
Yeah.
you will choose to become a discipline. Yes.
Yes. And because it's also mentioned that especially there is a serious repercussion, therefore the answer is yes.
Acha, you are saying therefore the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean I see that unless I see that the problem is kind of kind of repercussion, it yields to some more problems, then I will intervene.
Yeah, the big point
No,
is
one
government
minute.
definitely
Yes.
Repercussions means there can be serious consequences for
Yeah.
you also.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, I know that.
So you will, that is why you are saying, or you will, no matter what, you will become a whistleblower.
See, I see that the problem issue is something severe, then I will intervene. Then I will try to be then I will try to talk what is the issue and I see where is the problem.
Okay.
First we
But so final comment.
Thank you very much. Yes, I will intervene because we have to face whatever may be the consequences in the interest of the system. Because I have to maintain the system, so I have to.
One. Any? Okay. Just one last point.
So, my opinion would be, because sometimes what happens, if you just try to become a whistleblower, so it might, I think, disturb the peaceful atmosphere of the institution. Sometimes those types of things also come. So if you just ask me under those circumstances, I would avoid being a whistleblower. But at the same time, I will not be a news spectator. I will just try to take remedial measure indirectly to just take care of that problem.
Okay, maybe if there is an alternate way of doing things, you might prefer that rather than cause a disruption to the entire system.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so again, you will have to think, when you actually face such circumstances, what might be the best course of action. But it's always good to think about, you see these things happening all around you. You hear about, it in the news reports, in some company there was some whistleblower or, something like that. Then there is a lawsuit, there is this, there is that, lot of corruption, this, for so many reasons. But if you actually, come into such a position, you will really have to take, a philosophical stand as to what are going to be your actions. And the dangers can be unlimited. I will even use the word danger, When I say repercussions, they can even be extreme repercussions. Things can be, go out of control. Because to, the people who are in power, the people who are in positions of, causing the wrong deeds in the first place, they will also go to any extent to, cover it up. And, we don't know anybody else's intentions. We only know what our actions can be under whatever circumstances. So you will have to think carefully, you will have to, examine the situation and yes, 30 seconds.
See, whistleblower means other meaning. And a member in the organization, our role is to that is highlight whatever happened wrongly in that is the forum by the writing or formally. Then job is over. It depends on the authority of the university whether they take the action or not. Our work we only just give it the writing. This has happened.
Yeah.
The matter, that's all.
Yes. But sometimes see, some systems have a provision for anonymous reporting of wrongdoings. Some systems may not be so anonymous. And what I'm saying is, if the system is not anonymous, there could be serious repercussions. If you know the system is, kind of open in that way, you may have to think twice before you take any action. That's my only contention. I'm not suggesting you should think twice or thrice or 4 times. I'm just saying what would happen under those circumstances. This is an open question.
Only 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe as you said, these days, if you even if it is a fact and if you give an anonymous letter,
Yeah.
the government of India
Yeah,
has given
yes.
a notice that
Yeah,
if it is anonymous, you just ignore. And people are taking shelter against that.
Okay, yes. So many things are happening nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is both the cases. Sometimes, there is action is taken by government.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they have not taken.
Yes. One.
The direction as per MHRD is you can just ignore anonymous.
Time is less for discussion, right? So there is
You are right.
But the
Majority, he just said it may
Yeah.
tender process
IIT Kharagpur.
has decided to go for conducting more than ACs in the university system, right? For more than 60 ACs. ACs is installed, right? And the last is installed in some other office. But ACs is installed in some Chinese company, not Voltas.
Yeah.
The last person who just given the right to get and this is a no, AC not as per specification, for inquiry. You know, see, under the inquiry, then our job is over. All the things are dependent on the situation and person to person. What type of association we are in the system?
So anyways, there are many such cases where you may have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But of course, and you may have to take a call based on the circumstances.
Always whistleblower has to face the inquiry and we should be ready to that.
Yes.
No, but some
Because it is.
Again, yeah. So anyways, you guys are here another week. You will be spending some time on the long flight to Australia. You can continue these discussions and many other issues amongst yourself as well. My final question to all of you, please change your final partner now. Please change your partner. But yeah, one group there will be 3. But please change your partners. Find somebody from another institution.
Yes, sir.
Let me put one more condition. Find somebody from another institution than yours. Are you in that situation now?
Yes.
नहीं क्या हुआ? नहीं 3 नहीं, अभी एक ही ग्रुप में 3 होगा. Only one team has 3.
I'm 17 है ना? I'm the 17th. Never join with anybody.
Come this side. You feel? You decide. Not okay.
We are 4 now.
Someone has to be around there.
They formed the.
Yeah, given a chance to get a guru. Why do you excessive?
Why they formed the review?
I haven't given a chance to make a group. Okay, you come.
Okay, quickly arrange yourself. Only one team will be of 3, others will be pairs, no?
Tommy sir, come here.
Tommy sir, you are so much demand.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, okay. One more question for you to discuss with your new partner now.
So you are buying carriers that are coming from India. Sometimes the moment you come back,
are just providing one. You are doing challenges. I can say after इसमें वही होता है डायरेक्ट नहीं ह्यूमन इन्वॉल्वमेंट फिजिकल इन्वॉल्वमेंट मतलब यू आर जस्ट डूइंग द examination
This file takes 1 day. This file takes 1 day. system transparency
Okay. So anyway, I've just gone around and given you some team numbers. That's fine. Do you have any good examples of e-governance? I would especially be interested in something that is actually happening at your institutions that you have physically witnessed. And what I would like to know is what are some of the highlights or what are some of the limitations of these e-governance systems. So very quickly, how many institutions are here, by the way? I think about many are there. No?
Yes, 3 from 5 from AMU, 3 from Jammu, 8
Ahmedabad.
Okay, so who has a good e-governance system that very, very mature and robust? Raise your hand. VIT. 1 minute. So let's hear with the VIT first. Anybody from VIT?
Yeah.
So one of you please tell us.
Transparency.
Yeah.
And all informations are available. And tracking of the any requests.
So can you just summarize in which domain areas? What quickly summarize for the rest of us.
Okay, so for example, we have our application entering leave approval. Everything is online. Any request we make through ERP software. And even students, they have our Vita portal where they can see the attendance. Parents also, they can see the attendance of their wards and they can apply anything through online. we have all this money on the portal for payment, all is enabled. COE, our examinations are happening even in digital panel.
Okay.
One more, we will add on some more.
At the time of from admission to graduation for students, we are having it. All kind of solution we are giving it.
Okay.
Not only student, we can add to.
Yeah, just a minute, sir. From student point of view, at the time of admission to final graduation, even after becoming alumni, for them also we are providing a service to our own software. Faculty also, if they join, at the time of joining up to their leaving, all the data we are maintaining in our software.
So are these in-house developed solutions?
In-house developed.
Okay. And since how many years you are having this?
This last 8 years.
8 years. Things are working well?
Yeah.
Okay. No specific challenges? Have you seen any advantages? I mean, transparency.
Without any paper, and like we know the process, so we don't need to go like I want to move the paper, I need your approval like that.
Fine. Thank you so much. Yeah. IIT Bombay. Yeah.
In addition to that, like we said that we have also called ERP system. So
Yeah.
we used to have a internal developed software individually, like we used to have an online purchase system, we used to have a IRCC side, we used to have a ASC side for a academic side. This all used to be working internally developed. But in the last 2 years, I think last year onwards, we have now moved on to ERP. So all the processes are on online, like even if you want to an approval, it goes. And as soon as it goes, you get a message. As soon as the approval is done, each stage when approval is done, it comes back. And even like any bills to be submitted, you can just put a scan form. There is no need for a paper track. So ERP system, anyway, again, there are some problems because we were all used to work with a homegrown system.
Yeah.
So it is much more user friendly.
Okay.
Whereas when ERP came, people are finding it difficult because it's more like an elephant taking a small stone.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge program. But we are adjusted to that one. I think that nowadays everything has to go through ERP. Any process has to go through ERP.
Sir, final, one more comment.
Same, the best practice is transparency. But in my university, we failed 2 times. But finally, we have gone for the ERP module. But the benefit is from the day of registration of the student, the result, as well as teachers' promotion, cash dates, list of seniority, payroll, the financial accounting, stock entry register, everything is computerized. And nowadays, every month, sometime UGC, AICT, NAC, they want data. How many SCS student, OBC student, any kind of data you can give, male, female, this type of data is required. The problem is in the e-governance is the non-teaching staff. The non-teaching staff, earlier they have some data in their file, so they are always reluctant to accept the information.
Okay.
So this is in my university the problem is we are facing, but still we from 1st April everything will be in the dashboard where Vice Chancellor, even the registrar, then see everything what is happening.
Okay. Alright, so one final request to all of you. In fact, I'll make an appeal to all of you. On this particular question that I raised at the very end, in fact, let me just alert you that in the next couple of days, I'm actually recording an online lecture on e-governance in higher education, which is for the Swayam platform as part of one of the ARPIT courses on leadership and governance in higher education. So for that module, in fact, I will seek your inputs. So I know you all have so many good examples and implementation case studies. So if you have if you can share your examples with me today itself, since I'm recording after 2 days, whatever inputs I can get today, I will be able to showcase it as some of the good examples along with your screenshots of your systems. You can give me some screenshot, you can give me some use cases, advantages, disadvantages, limitations. So maybe a short presentation if you can share with me by today itself. I would be more than happy to selectively at least present a few examples as part of my online discussion. This will be under this ARPIT umbrella, the online refresher course on leadership and governance in higher education. I'm going to Savitribai Phule Pune University. Their UGC HRDC center is offering this course, and I'll be recording my lecture on this topic itself, e-governance in higher education. So any further inputs you have, I welcome those to my email today itself. whatever screenshots, as I said, anything that you want to share about best practices, I welcome it today. Thank you so much.
Lastly,
Yeah.
my university for biometric entry to teachers and
Yes. Okay.
but in my department we do bio.
So I know you may have many assignments and many things to do, but all that you are mentioning today, if you are able to give it to me in some kind of a presentation format, this is, by the way, let me just mention one final thing. This is outside the scope of your formal assessment and evaluation. This is completely voluntary. This is a personal and a professional request. Since I am developing this module, whatever inputs you have, I can use them as examples in my online discussion. So this particular presentation, whether you send it to me or not, is completely voluntary. That will not be, part of your assessment and evaluation for lead. Let me just mention that as a parting remark. Now I request all of you to please take a seat and let me give you further instructions, but your inputs on PowerPoint. Thank you, sir.
Including the
Okay, by the way, so these are my contact details. You may kindly note it down. As I said, I welcome your inputs for the e-governance in higher education theme. Whatever good systems you have, with your screenshots, some salient features, some important areas of application, any insights you want to share, a small presentation, that would be very helpful for me. Now, earlier we saw, as I said, we are using aspects of gamification, and one of the ways of teaching and learning is also what we call as a role play. Are you familiar with the idea of role play? Some of you must have been exposed to it earlier, I'm sure. Just for the record, just to set the tone for this, role play is nothing but whenever, I think even in that example of gamification video, you saw, there is a role that is assigned to a student as an accountant in a firm, and that student has to go in. So it's an imaginative exercise where you put yourself in the shoes of a particular role and enact that kind of a role with a group of other students or members. And it can be utilized for teaching learning process in almost any subject area. I've seen biology teachers using role play to discuss, the interaction between viruses and healthy cells. Students are taking on the role of a virus, somebody is taking on the, the role of a particular body part, and how the virus is affecting. That process is being enacted by the students, and this is, part of the learning by doing or experiential learning. As we said, I could have just given you an explanation of pathological diseases on a block diagram or a simulation. But having the students actually enact the process of what are the aspects of such a case helps them to retain that information for the long term. So these are simple examples of, in any domain area you could apply the concept of role play. So similarly, in our case especially, since most of our leadership challenges are, as we have been talking about, situational, what we are going to do next is, we will also engage in the role play exercise. And in this particular case, this will be part of your assessment and evaluation exercise as well. So you will be working with a partner. In fact, in the last question, I already asked you, gave you a team number. So I've called, formed already 9 teams, and the partners have been assigned as team number, member number A and B. Now A and B doesn't signify anything, it's just 1 and 2, that kind of thing. It's just one to classify each person with a number. So you'll be working with your partner, and what I'm expecting you to do is, I'm distributing this one handout to you, and let me explain. Essentially, okay. So on this handout, which I'm going to distribute, is just a piece of paper, basically. Handout in the sense I've just developed a template. I'm suggesting that each one of you will write a particular leadership situation, a challenging leadership situation. You will describe it. Now, since we are enacting it with 2-member teams, I would encourage you to take up such situations where 2 parties are involved.